Good morning. We are back with another one. So, quick little intro. I apologize. I have been so far behind because I haven't had a chance to film. It has not been quiet in my house. My two usual filming days have been taken over by other people, which I don't appreciate, but I had no control over the matter. So, trying to catch up as much as possible. If you hear background noise, I gotta get it done. So I apologize. I can actually hear my little one going crazy. Um, anyway, we're talking Moon Knight. Moon Knight dropped Wednesday. It is a new Disney Plus series. It's Marvel, specifically about Moon Knight, the character, aka Mark. It's very confusing. Anyway, if you haven't read the comics, you're probably going to be confused. Now, Moon Knight is not a character that was introduced in the MCU beyond this show. There might have been a glimpse or two. I haven't found those Easter eggs, to be honest with you, but the overall introduction to this individual, like the way that Falcon was already introduced, you know what I'm saying? He just wasn't. So we're coming into this like, who the heck is this person? What's going on? So, knowing that, I was like, I'm going to read the comics. I love the comics. Marvel Unlimited is really fantastic. It's $10 a month, and you get, all access to the comics. And they have them on there, and you can sort by character and by event or by comic, like, releases, by the I'm blanking what I'm trying to say, by the artists. Anyway, this is not a sponsored ad. I'm just going to let you guys know because there would be more stuff going on. Anyway, I personally enjoy it. I think it's well worth the money to be able to read unlimited comics. I'm a big reader, whether it's comics or other things. Like, y'all don't want to know how much I read every single day. So, I finishing 20 books as of today. Yeah, it's one of those. Not that that's important because only one of those was Marvel. Only a few of those were Disney/Marvel related. Anyway, let's get back on track. So totally worth it. So anyway, the point was that I began reading them. I got, I think, through the first 6, and I personally was like, this is just not a comic that I can, like, muster through, which is kind of interesting because it does have a lot of Egyptian elements, and I personally have this, like, weird love of ancient Egypt. But this was not the one that I can muster through in terms of, it just took me a very long time to read through these comics. So I was like, all right, I think I've gotten far enough to watch at least the first episode. So I watched it. I'm going to show you the Easter eggs that I found. But I will say that if you're coming into this not knowing who this person is, you're not going to understand what is happening. Like, they're keeping it very much like, what the heck is happening? So I implore you to probably try to just muster through the first few episodes. We'll see what happens in episode 2. But a lot of the Easter eggs I'm going to show you is more towards the comics than anything else. So I want to make that very clear. If you're not in tune with the comics, you probably still won't understand. Anyway, let's go to the Easter eggs because there's a few. Okay, so here we start. You can see that the tattoo is a scale. Now this will come in later. This individual will actually make his tattoo move, kind of like the way that Maui does in Moana. So just throwing that out there. It does become important. You can also see these shoes that is being worn. They do look like crocodile shoes, which, interestingly enough, if you look at the cane, it's a crocodile head. Again, this is something that is towards the comics because certain individuals will change their look for Mark, and that's why it's confusing, because he does have DID, which I did speak about in a previous video. I also want to note that Mark actually works in a museum, which was not noted through the first 6 comics, but he specifically works in the Egyptian area of this museum, which is interesting because, as I said, it does have a lot of those elements in the comics, but in such a different manner. So it's kind of interesting to see them play that out in a different way. But I find it interesting because I don't know how they would be able to do it the way that the comics did it exactly. But I like that there were some correlations to that. And then we have this guy who looks like, oh God, why can I not picture his name? From Once Upon a Time, which was a Disney show on ABC. And I'm trying to think of his name. Just give me a second. I should have known this. He looks like... Mr. Gold, who was, oh God, what was his character's name? Mr. Gold was also, it was played by Robert Carlyle, and, I am blanking today. Mr. Gold, Once Upon a Time. Rumpelstiltskin. I knew it started with an R. He reminds me of Rumpelstiltskin a little bit. It's not the same actor, but just very much giving me those vibes. Also, the way that he listens. Supposedly this is a statue. I obviously think it's really a person that's dresses up to pretend to be a statue. But, yeah. So Mark goes and, like, sits and just tells this person everything. Like, we don't really know the significance of this, but I want to throw that in there because I feel like it is important. Now, without giving too much away, Mark has been having really bad dreams. He's going through stuff, and this individual he's having conversation with is trying to harm him, but Mark is like coming into the realization like he doesn't know what's going on. There's so much. But he does say an Easter egg, and I want you guys to watch the the show in order to find it, and then I want you guys to comment here, or if you've watched the show and you're here, let me know down below what it is. I want you guys to comment what he says. Okay, that is your homework. Yes, I'm giving you homework, but he says something in particular that's an Easter egg. I want you guys to start finding them too. I think it'll be fun. Anyway, later that night, so this is at the end, but we see that Mark and Steven have kind of split the personalities, so you can see that there's 2 of them in there, but you can see his other side talking to him physically, even though he can't see him. He's hearing him in his head, while he's fighting some bad guys, and he's like, let me take over, and so he takes over, and that's when Moon Knight comes out and defeats the bad guys. So, yeah. Okay, so I know that there weren't that many Easter eggs that I covered. I didn't want to give too much away. The show was, I think it was like 45 minutes, the first episode. I want you to know that it can be very confusing not knowing what is happening. And if this is not a show for you, I completely understand. This is one of the ones where I'm like, yeah, no, I can get with that. I'm just gonna watch them for you guys, but it's probably not a show that I'll return to be honest. I just, this is not a character that I can really get myself into, at least as of right now. Especially reading the comics, he's just not my thing, not my style. It's just so confusing going back and forth. Um, there's definitely way more in there that I just didn't want to give away because it gives away a lot of a storyline. Um, but we will definitely cover it as more episodes go on because they're going to have to show that stuff again. But I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys very shortly.